Somebody's pulling me close to the ground. I ain't panicked. I've been here before. Seems like only yesterday when I got up on that stage in front of that crowd and showed them who was who and what was what. Man, look at these suckers. I ain't no rapper.
What's up, ScoonTv family? This is the weekly live stream.
Okay, I'm reloading.
Peter, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in weeks. We sent out some alerts to people. I even played some Rare Essence 2 weeks ago for you, but you wasn't here.
No. A lot of speculation on the monies I've made, honeys I've slayed. I was E for real. Is that nigga really
paid?
Monsters I've met or dealt with direct. Is it true?
William, what's up? Glasgow, what's up?
The position you hold. Can you really match a triple platinum artist buck by buck, but only a single going gold? Rockefeller shit roll, and you left out in the cold. Is it back to charge your motherfuckers 11 for a O?
11 for a O?
Questions like Wendy Williams harassing me. They get upset when I catch
feelings. Oh, second job. Wow. How's that going for you, brother?
Nice watch. Do you really have a spot?
What's up, Indy?
What you doing in LA? Filipinos and essays.
Indy, you a funny guy, man. Hold on, what's up, brother? Kev's in the building. Yeah. Play some Guru and Premier. Okay, I will. Rich, what's up?
Motherfuckers can't.
Oh, and there that goes. Started with the profanities, but anyway, what's up, family? I've been so busy today, man. Y'all got to get me on track, bring me up to speed with what's going on. Oh wow, going to catch. Oh yeah, all right, cool. Thank you, brother. C. Wills, what's up, man? Everybody on YouTube, Rumble, and Tinder, be sure to download the app. The app is fire. We got these fire documentaries on there. The latest one is about George Soros. I think next week we going at Dr. Fauci. Yeah, just a heads up. What's up, news? Yeah, we going to Dr. Fauci, and I'm trying to figure out the type of content that we're going to host on ScoonTV. I want it to be current, but tie into historical, recent history. Oh, yeah, William, I see that. Trump is allegedly considering pardoning Diddy. Diddy must have cut the check, because that's how you get through to Trump. You got to cut checks. That's all of them, but Trump is really blatant about it. John C. Baldwin, Mayor Schoon, hey, we gonna see. I'm waiting on Mamdani to win. I'm pretty sure he's gonna win. And we're gonna see how he do. I'm gonna start attacking him from the first misstep he make, which is not gonna take long. Schoon, Trump is doing so much shit. Some I like, some I don't. Listen. Kev, I was never a MAGA. However, I was giving him a chance because in theory, some of the things he said, I believe it would have been beneficial. However, I think his delivery was always problematic. And now it just looks like his priorities are problematic. I feel like he's just trying to get paid, punish his enemies in the process, because most of his enemies, he can identify them as being, Democrats, liberals, deep state, and those are the people that his core base, feel are the problem in the country. So as he go after them, it's as if he's throwing them red meat. But the whole way, man, there's a whole lot of money being made. They said Barron Trump made $190 million when by shorting crypto or something to that effect. That they're making a lot of money. The whole family, his whole network, and that's just what we're hearing about with him and his people, his immediate circle. But there's a lot of money changing hands, and some major things are in play that's going to impact all of us. And that's what I'm really watching, and I'm not trusting. Assalamu alaikum, Mumin. Yeah, as far as that go, I just really think that his thing is he's getting money, and he's getting it at a rate that it seems like there's a fire sale going on in America. You know, it really do feel like there's a fire sale in America. His constant changing of positions, I don't know if there's a method to his madness or if it's just madness. You know, he spoke to Putin for over 2 hours on the phone, and then he changed his position on sending the Tomahawks to Ukraine. I'm not saying that I wanted it to happen for him to send them to Ukraine. I just think that maybe if he would keep some things to himself, he could be a little mercurial and, but do it privately. Because there's a lot of serious ramifications for every decision he makes. So I could understand the trepidation, just like, I don't know if I should do it, the hesitancy, but everything's public. So on Truth Social, and he's changing his mind, and he's entitled to do that. But someone in his position, changing your mind the way he does, it's kind of scary. Publicly. What's up, Darnita? John C. Baldwin, what's up? Yeah. Trump tearing down the White House literally and taxing DOJ for $250 million for his troubles. I did see the work that was being done to the White House. It doesn't look like he plans on leaving. It looks like he thinks it's his house. And there's a lot of things, man, that just don't sit right with me. Putin told him if he sent these Tomahawks, he would wipe Ukraine off the map, which would cause World War III. Well, as Medvedev, the former president, stated, the Russian position is that if a Tomahawk is launched, they have no way of knowing if it's conventional or nuclear. That's what Medvedev said. And they're right. And it's so close to Russia that by the time they detect it, they're cooking. They're on the grill. Shrimp on the Barbie. You know what I mean? So they have a point. But now you got to wonder, was it just Trump bluffing them? Was that just part of his tactic? Or is he legitimately changing his mind? And we have to wonder who's really in charge. Zelensky seems like he's just a whipping boy for Trump anyway. I doubt that he's really in control in Ukraine. So we have to see how it all plays out. I don't foresee Ukraine regaining any of the lost territory. Yeah. What was lost on the battlefield will not be won at the negotiation table. Yeah. Not unless you have leverage. And your leverage can't be, we've had enough of you kicking our ass. That's no leverage at all. So I don't see the Russians returning it. And the land is mostly ethnic Russians in those areas who were mistreated by the Ukrainians. So it's a complicated matter. But see, that to me, I think what's happening in Russia and Ukraine is having too much of an impact on Americans and our needs and what's important to us. Now, some may say, on a macro level, it is important to us and it is central to us because it looks as if the plan is to defeat Russia, balkanize it, and prevent China from getting Russia's resources. You know, there's like 11 or 13 time zones in Russia. It's the biggest country in the world. Not the most populated, but the land mass wise. And a lot of the land has a lot of resources, and Europe needs the resources desperately. So the plan has always been from Zbigniew Brzezinski's grand chessboard to try to force Russia and China into a battle because China would need the resources in Siberia in eastern Russia. And you know, there's large portions of Russian territory that used to belong to China, were part of Manchuria, like Vladivostok over there. And they want to reclaim some of their old territories. I mean, that's how the world is. They want their land back. You don't think Mexico want Texas and California back? They just can't take it. But if they ever got in a position to, they would find a reason to do it. And that's just how it is. There is no more land. So any land you get, you pretty much have to take some kind of way. So anyway, that was Brzezinski's plan. And it looked like it changed a little bit, whereas NATO is now fighting Russia. NATO with America behind them. We got to see how it all plays out. It looks like the leaders of the world have made up their mind that, the world ain't big enough for all of them, so somebody got to go. The problem is, how much collateral damage will there be in the process? What we got? Let me make sure I ain't missed nothing. I got you Ohio players next week, Indy. I got you, my bad. Maybe this is a tough question. Do you think Trump is doing anything useful? I think he's doing something that people have been putting off. Presidents have been postponing. Take the shutdown, for instance. I think the shutdown is just a cover for the laying off of federal workers. There's about 2 million of them. And they needed to shrink it, but nobody wanted to do it because they didn't want the blame. So now, in the environment of the shutdown, the Democrats are blaming the Republicans and vice versa. And Trump is taking it another step, and he said that by November 1st, if there's still a government shutdown, he's going to stop SNAP, which is food stamps. If November 1st comes and SNAP is cut off, I want to believe both parties kind of wanted that to happen. And it's just somebody has to do the tough work. And in politics, nobody wants to be, the villain because they all want to get reelected. And it seems as if Trump doesn't mind being the villain. Seems as if he relishes being the villain. What is all really looking like to me, between all of these business deals for all these billions and trillions of dollars and the shrinking of federal workforce and the prospective dropping of SNAP, it looks like the United States is broke. And when you hear $37 trillion debt and that gold is hitting new highs like every week, like we're on our way to $5,000 an ounce gold. And I keep saying it. I own physical gold. I bought a few ounces in 2021. I paid like $1,800 for it. And it's going up to $5,000. And I'm not happy about it because I didn't buy gold as an investment. I bought gold as a hedge. But at this point, I don't have enough gold. the amount of gold I have pales in comparison to dollars. So if the dollar tanks, I'm borderline wiped out like everyone else. You know, I wish I had a kilo of gold. At least, you know, that would be kind of nice. Trump is allegedly considering pardoning Diddy. I read it. That sounds to me like contact has been made already. Diddy has powerful backers, one named Ron Burkle. I believe Ron Burkle is the one who put up the money for him to get the Revolt channel. And I also believe that that big house in Beverly Hills that got raided on TV, on the same block as the Playboy Mansion, I believe Ron Burkle is probably the real owner of that as well. Like, Diddy has money, but these guys don't really own much of the assets that they show. And it may not even make sense for them to own it, right? Because I think that house was valued at something like $90 million or something like that. He has powerful backers, man. He does. Now, he was playing a powerful game. All the things he was doing, I don't believe it had any... I shouldn't say anything. I don't think his sexual perversion was the primary motivating factor. I think his sexual perversion was utilized in a way that was beneficial to others. You know, with this blackmail thing, I definitely believe that he's from the same school as Jeffrey Epstein. It's not just Diddy or Epstein. I think there's a lot of that going on. And you know, most people, by the time they realize what it is, it's too late. They've already done immoral and illegal things. See, the morality alone isn't the catch. It's the legality. And this is why they emphasize underage girls and boys and what have you. Because if you're just an immoral person, well, people could say, damn, I ain't know he or she was like that. But nobody could really do anything to you. Yeah, you might be a little ashamed to show your face because certain things about your character you don't want to share with people. But if you do something illegal, and that is the trap, it starts off sexual and it turns into something else, and it's being documented. You know, the mother of Diddy's youngest child, the baby girl, Love, she's an Asian woman. And I know someone who knows her, and she's really good with technology. Turns out she's the one that wired the houses for him. She did that. She wired the houses for him. At least this is what I was told, you know. Trump ain't getting the China deal. You know, the funny thing about these people, Glasgow, is that he may not want a China deal. You know, the way he's going about it, it seems like he wants to smoke. He wants a reason to do something. And this whole thing with China, and I am not pro-China, let me make it clear. America and Europe built China. In the 1980s, the primary mode of transportation in China was the bicycle. They all wore the same clothes, rode bikes. Nobody owned cars. It wasn't industrialized. Kissinger opened the door, and that started with Nixon. Kissinger opened the door for China to be where America outsources its manufacturing to. And some may say that greed is the reason why we did it. I think there's levels. I think the most diabolical people in the world, they value power, not money. And contrary to popular belief, money doesn't necessarily give you power, not on that level, right? But what money is a tool. So they use money to entice the facilitators of this plan to weaken America. First, Nixon took America off the gold standard in 1971. Then he normalized relations with China. And then between China and Japan, first it was Japan, when we started letting Toyota and all that come in with their vehicles. That undermined Detroit. And Chrysler and General Motors needed a bailout in the 80s. And that was a direct result of the Japanese and the other imports coming into America and being able to compete with American cars. You can't tell me that the politicians, the congressmen, they knew this was going to happen. But what they've been doing in America is that from the beginning, while undermining American industry, manufacturing, agriculture, they've been printing more money and subsidizing the very industries that they undermined. So those industries, in effect, were propped up. In that way, we wouldn't notice what was happening until it's too late. And therein lies why the national debt is $37 trillion. Because that money was needed to keep this Ponzi scheme that we live in going until the transfer was pretty much complete. And now you got China. On November 1st cutting off rare earth minerals that we need to manufacture our weapons, magnets, all the stuff used in our tech for our missiles and aircraft. The Chinese are the ones that refine it and produce it. Rare earth is everywhere, but the refining of it, the process it has to go through for it to be utilized, is done 100% in China. And the reason why it's done over there is because the Chinese, they don't have an EPA. It must be toxic as hell over in China. In the next 10 years, people might be born with two heads over there. I remember back in the 2012 or whatever the Olympics were over there, there was so much algae on the water from all the nitrogen and the fertilizer and the runoff, and they had to skim it off the top, and this is for the water sports. It's got to be toxic as hell over there. Clean water gotta be a commodity. Has to be. Clean air. There's a price that the Chinese people are paying for being the factory of the world. People are losing their minds over Snap. Yeah, I think there's like 42 million people on Snap. And listen, people are going to be losing their mind, period. Because there's a rug pull going on. And of course it's going to affect the most needy people first, but it's not going to stop there. Yes, Trump took care of Israel. He always takes care of Israel. He took care of Israel when he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, because that's part of a bigger plan. And his son-in-law is, I believe, if not the architect, but he's very instrumental in this greater Israel plan that wants to develop Gaza. And they have recently found natural gas off the shores of Gaza, large quantities of it. What are my thoughts on the border crossings going down? I think it was predictable because obviously Biden and the Democrats, they were facilitating the transportation of these people from Guatemala and Venezuela and all. They were going across 4 and 5 borders, man, to get to America. That just doesn't happen unless people are told to stand down. You just can't travel like that. Right now, Mexico, believe it or not, they're deporting people. They are rounding up whatever El Salvadorans, Nicaraguans, whatever, that are in their country stuck because they can't get into America, and they're sending them back, which tells me they could have stopped them from moving forward, but somebody told them, let them through. See, now they will never say this because on the surface, for the public, things have to be presented one way. But behind the scenes, there's all kinds of machinations and shenanigans going on. Schoon29, I want in. We're going to see. I do have a media platform, and I do have a way to start getting the word out, for sure. But we'll see where it goes. I'm definitely with it, man. I am. And you know, Kev, I'll tell you the truth. I think the Republicans want Mamdani to win. I think a Mamdani victory in New York is going to be used to showcase what's wrong with the left and Democrats in 2028. Because what I figured out is national politics seems to be the only thing that matters at this juncture. Nobody cares about local politics anymore. Even local politicians, local attorney generals like Letitia James, all of these people, they're being elected locally, but they're focusing on national issues. And they're all in this ideological war. You know, this left-right dichotomy. Putin told him if he said yes. How many decisions do you think that president actually makes on his own? That's tough to say, William. It really is. I think decisions are based on options, and I think there are external forces dictating the options. So even without telling them what to do, it just comes down to one or two. I'm the same, Kev. I haven't felt like things are the same since COVID. Is he playing a dangerous game with the tariffs? I mean, we gotta just look at the economy. Is it working or is it not? You know, right now the Chinese aren't even importing our soybeans like they once did. They've greatly reduced it, and they're getting their soybeans from Brazil. It's affecting agriculture tremendously. And there may be a plot with that, because if the farmers, if they can't sustain themselves, now they're relying on subsidies. And when you rely on subsidies, you have to do what you're told. You have to plant what you're told to plant. And if they tell you don't plant, then you don't plant. Because really you're just waiting for that government money. And of course, that's how the debt is being run up. Trump wants the markets crashing. It looks like that news. I think so. And the question is why? And I believe a big part of the why is because he wants to move away from the dollar. They want to introduce some form of digital currency. Not totally get rid of the dollar just yet, but UBI. It's going to start off multi-tiered. And slowly but surely, the population is going to become acclimated to it. And before you know it, everybody will be doing it. I mean, I remember when I didn't use my debit card for anything. You know? Yeah. And I would not deposit money in an ATM. Checks, nothing. I would go inside to the teller. Here I am in 2025. Is I rarely go inside. I use the ATM now. So things, you're like a frog boiling in water, so to speak. Do you think Trump would ever touch Medicaid? Yes. I think he's going to touch Medicaid. I think he's going to touch Social Security. He's going to do everything that the other presidents wouldn't. Because, quite frankly, he doesn't care. Not that he doesn't care about the people. I mean, that may be true as well, but he doesn't care about people being upset with him. I don't even think that Trump is going to finish his term. And I think before he leaves, he's going to do a lot of the dirty work so the next person don't have to do it. What's up, George? What are your thoughts about Supreme accusing Bimmy being a snitch? Ha ha! Oh man, all I'll say about that, Mumin, is that everyone my age from Queens heard those allegations in the 90s, in the mid 90s, and it's not surprising to me. I know Bimmy. Never was a friend, speaking passing or whatever. And I've never seen any documents. But if you ask me, would I bet on it being true or false? I'd put all my money on it being true. He's like he's a guy that thinks he's smarter than everybody. And, and he's not. Not by a long shot. Sometimes people, they see your game and they know what's up with it. I'll tell you a story about Bimmy, right? So when I was working with American Gangster, first of all, when I did the book Queens Reign Supreme, a lot of people got mad because they was like, yo, who let the white boy in? Who let him know everything? I had Ethan Brown speaking to everybody. Got him photos of Prince when Prince was in the penitentiary. Had him speaking to Mike Bone in the witness protection program. I put it all together. Yeah. So that book played a big role in Nelson George wanting to do American Gangster, because pretty much that Feds Don Diva model kind of went mainstream with Queens Reign Supreme, because now it's being published by Random House, Knopf Publishing, right? So it's no longer on the Chitlin circuit. So Nelson, he got with the company and he did that. Long story short, I got picked up as a consultant for the first episode, the Fat Cat episode. And Bimmy, behind my back, because he was so thirsty, he was telling those people that, I don't really know anybody, because he wanted to work with them. This is the kind of person that he is. And I never ever said anything to him that I know about what he did, what he told them. But he does things like that a lot. He's a snake. And this is going to be saved on YouTube and everything else. He's a cold snake. And on top of him being a snake, he's really like a bitch-ass dude too, man. Like, for real. Because them the ones that really move like that. That you understand what I'm saying? Like, the cold cowards. So as far as the ratting thing, I never saw the paperwork. But it doesn't surprise me. I've heard it already. There was an individual named Troy Singleton that Supreme is doing life for having killed. And Troy Singleton waited outside Universal Music for Bimmy, because Bimmy had a job up there as a A&R. and he waited for Bimmy. And the story I heard is that he slapped Bimmy around on Broadway like a $2 whore. And I believe it. Anyway, that's enough about Bimmy. What we got? Glad, do you think Trump would ever? No. If you were on Trump's cabinet, what would you recommend to get the economy pumping like pre-COVID? I don't know if they really care about getting the economy pumping right now. They have a different agenda. They're on that Agenda 2030 stuff, man. When you look at the people that's around Trump, the Larry Ellisons and the Sam Altmans and the Peter Thiels and Elon Musk, those guys don't care about the economy. They care about consolidating power. What has POTUS actually accomplished? I'm gonna tell you something, Peter. Peter, that's a good question. The average person, I don't know what he's done for the average person. I know if you're in a certain tax bracket, things have gotten better for you, right? But you have to be a business owner to take advantage of those things. Some may argue that by deporting illegals, he's creating jobs because they're no longer able to do the jobs. When I take the temperature of society, of the people on the ground, it looks like scarcity. How much of it can we attribute to Trump? Or how much of it can we attribute to COVID and the events that followed COVID, that happened simultaneously with COVID? You know, the lockdowns, the supply chains, disruptions. I don't know. You know, it's almost like blaming Eric Adams for what happened in New York when he was the mayor during a pandemic. I don't know how much of it can be attributed to the president. I want to believe that this path of war, this brinkmanship that we're flirting with, it appears to be that because we manufacture nothing, it's almost like neo-imperialism. Now we have to go take what we want to make things better in America. And I think that's behind going to Venezuela and definitely Ukraine and Russia. It looks like war is how we're going to create opportunity, because construction and destruction are a never-ending cycle. And after World War II, that's why they were called baby boomers. You know what I mean? Like, there was a boom in population, but there was also a boom in means to support families and, you know, but the price had to be paid in blood. And they say every 80 years or so, well, if you count the world wars, it's like shorter than that. But economically, it's like every 80 years or so, there's some kind of like reset, and we're right on schedule. India has that toxicity issue now. I'm pretty sure, News, because there's no real regulations in those places. When we outsourced our manufacturing, what we really outsourced was all the toxicity. They're going to turn their countries into a cesspool, and they're going to pay the price for it. Indians with tree bark limbs, and their water supply is finished. I didn't even know it, but it's just common sense. They're just dumping toxic chemicals, pesticides. I mean, people think things are bad in America with our food supply and all that. Man, Places like China, India, forget about it. And let's not forget Fukushima in Japan. Who knows what's going on with the seafood and the water over there? It's amazing. Yes, news, Jared Kushner is definitely pulling some strings. What gives me the most solace during times like this? You know, I was talking with my wife earlier, and I'm a business person because it keeps my mind busy and off all these other things. And focusing on business is good. It keeps me grounded, keeps me from, partaking in distractions, self-destructive behavior. Business is actually my escape. So I have a really good escape, right? Because every now and then, not all the time, but every now and then, the business moves, they yield some kind of reward and expand your options. So that's where I find my solace. So I take care of my health-wise. I'm big on my health. So for dinner, I just made me some beets and avocado. I chopped up the avocado, put them both in olive oil, and that was all I ate. I'm serious about my health, my well-being, and my finances, and I try to block out all this stuff because what I realize is that so much of this is just way over our head. And a lot of it is going to happen to a lot of people, but it won't happen to everyone. It's going to happen to the people who didn't prepare, who really didn't understand the shifts that were taking place. And that's why we have forums like this, because we share information, That's right, Costello, what's up with you? There's something very anti-human about AI. Absolutely. Orlando, what's up? Good to see you, brother. Oh, you know about the 3 to life, huh, Costello? You must be from Queens. Yeah, me too. I got to read it. Aziz, what's up, brother? Biden era really started the inflation, but Trump campaigned on helping the folks. Yo, I think, I'm not making excuses for Trump, but I think we were so far gone, nobody could fix it. I think we've been kicking the can down the road for a long time, man. Technically, you could say Nixon was when it first became obvious, but really, when it really started picking up the pace was with George W. Bush, and it's never slowed down. The day before, September 10th, on 2001, Rumsfeld made a speech talking about a missing $2 trillion in the budget. The next day, 9/11 happens, and then for the next 20 years, $300 million a day is going to Afghanistan and Iraq. And you can't blame any one party because 20 years covers Bush's 2 terms, Obama's 2 terms, and Trump's first term. This is why it ended when Biden was in office. So it kind of looked like they all pretty much on the same time. What we got here? Mr. Coon, how MAGA is it to give Argentina $20 billion? I heard it's a total of $40 billion. They gave him $20 billion already, but he's giving them another $20 billion. And they have a lot of beef in Argentina. Peter, you know what I think about Argentina? Dominican, what's up, man? Download the ScoonTv app, man. Come on, brother. It's free. You know what I think about Argentina? When I look at Argentina, I'm going to have my son go down there because Milei wants to use the US dollar as their currency. So I'm looking to take dollars from America since he's a MAGA and a Trump ally. Things are so cheap because their economy already crashed, right? I'm looking to take American dollars and see what I can get in Argentina. So my son is supposed to go down there and look at some things for me and see. And that's all we can do right now. We have to pay attention to the world, man. We can't swim upstream. We got to kind of figure out where things is going and how to best position ourselves. Our ancestors had it worse. The stories my grandparents told me, yep. Cleaning rich people's houses for women and men, hard labor, yep. I often see black conservatives get called self-haters. Not saying some of them are not, but I always wonder why that energy does not go towards black liberals. I can tell you why, William. Well, I can attempt to tell you why. Because the liberal establishment has its tentacles in every aspect of black society, from funding the African American Museum. That was like over $700 million. A few black millionaires put in maybe a total about $60 million, but most of it came from Jewish, white sources, right? Why is that important? Because they get to determine who gets celebrated in that museum. And the same goes for our HBCUs. So when you are part of a system that actually shaped who you are, shaped your identity, it's second nature for you to fall in line with that apparatus. You know, the liberals did get directly involved with black movements, black education, black employment, all of these things. But you have to really look at it in depth to see what was the effects of it. As it was happening, it seemed like it was positive. I'll give you an example. Federal employment and the laws that made it possible for blacks to get into the federal government. A lot of people on the right look at it like they're giving them stuff, participation trophies and blah, blah, blah. But what they don't really understand on a higher level is that it was a trade-off. Black economic infrastructure was deconstructed, and that deconstruction was paid for with government programs. The real question is, why did they want us to deconstruct it? We went from having schools, venues, hotels, all of these things, even though they were for blacks only, and they weren't as nice as but they were ours, and it created black wealth, right? And somewhere, someone decided they didn't want that. And they made it real nice and enticing for people. We'll give you jobs, we'll do this, we'll do that, blah, blah, blah. But you got to get rid of that. And I think we're paying the price now, because that generosity or philanthropy or whatever you want to call it, benevolence, has run its course. So now as they lay off all these government workers and they're pulling back all these funds and all of these government programs that black people were encouraged to partake in. because we were around for a long time without any of these things, right? And we were finding a way because that's how nature is. But then here they come with all of these programs and say, don't worry about building your own. Come on over here with us. We got public housing. We got Section 8. We got food stamps. We got government jobs. We'll help you assimilate into the mainstream, our mainstream. But you're going to do it in the image that we create. And that's the answer to your questions. Most black people, their thinking, their very identity has been crafted by liberalism. So it's only automatic for them to go that way. And black conservatives, and I believe that I'm a conservative, but not ideologically, right? I mean, not politically. I'm a traditional conservative. In other words, I believe in, the patriarchy, men being the head of the household, things like that, the nuclear family. I'm a conservative in that respect because liberalism has jumped the shark so far that they no longer know what a woman is. Ketanji Brown Jackson, when asked to define a woman, she said she couldn't do that. She's not a biologist. And the irony of that is that Joe Biden, he specifically said he chose Ketanji Brown Jackson because he promised to put the first black woman on the Supreme Court bench. So what that means is that the white man, he knows what a black woman is. But the black woman, she has no clue. You see, but that's the conundrum, the trick bag that they got black liberals in. Because you're afraid to say what you know to be factual. Because it contradicts what they're promoting at that moment in time. You will see more black people advocating for trans kids. I didn't even know what a trans kid was until the last 10 years. These are all new words in our vocabulary. Birthing people, all of this shit is coming from different ideologies that in order to monopolize and monetize our votes, we have to be indoctrinated with foreign concepts that seem to be anti-nature. It's definitely anti-tradition, and you have to wonder why. 3 to life never made sense. Oh, you saw my Gully TV, John. Yeah. I was a little freer to talk then. Previously I always had to watch what I said because I had that cloud hanging over my head. But once that situation was resolved, I kind of let people know. Like, I never really cared about a lot of the stuff that's being promoted as far as the streets go, man. Like, to me, I was in it for one reason, and it wasn't to become well known. But somehow my name circulated regardless. Nevertheless, everyone who's diehard any particular party is wasting their energy and time. It seems that way, man. It does. Trump had totally changed the strategic initiatives and given foreign aid in order to get aid from the U.S. now. They have to show what they're going to do for us in a detailed and metric scored way. It has to be tangible. I mean, I can't say that you're wrong, Orlando, but I think we've always gotten something for it. America wasn't going around giving people money because America is Santa Claus. I think Trump is just spelling it out now. people should read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Yeah, I never read it, but I heard a lot about it. Yeah. How do you feel about people who have an accelerationist point of view and will vote for Mamdani for the sole purpose of just getting this inevitable shit show on the road already? Oh, man. Look, listen. I just turned down the mic. I noticed my mic was kind of high. I did an interview the other day. The people who don't believe there are any political solutions to our problems and voting is pointless because the plan's already in motion anyway. 15-minute cities, you are correct, Bobby J. About 15-minute cities, digital ID, social credit score. Yes, that's coming in the 2030s if we get there. My thoughts on Mamdani voters. I had a very interesting conversation with my cousin and her young daughter. Her daughter's 20 years old. And they want Mamdani because they believe that he is going to make their life more bearable. And, you know, and I love my cousin, but the reality is, that's kind of like hanging your hopes on the impossible. This guy is 33 or 34. He's never done anything. He doesn't even really understand how the business world is connected to he doesn't understand any of it. He's just used Google ChatGPT, and he's like an intellectual eunuch, right? He's never run anything. How do you elect somebody who's never run anything to be the mayor of the epicenter of capitalism in the West? Arguably. New York City has an annual budget of $113 billion. Mamdani lives in subsidized housing. And people who live in subsidized housing and who need subsidized housing, they probably feel he's very relatable. But it's scary. You know, he might have a credit card with a limit of $10,000, and now he's in charge of $113 billion. What do you think is going to happen? You do know that in Florida already, there's a boom on billionaires and millionaires, many of them relocating from New York, getting out of Dodge. What I think is going to happen is that crime is going to be rampant. People are not going to have jobs. And I give Mamdani a year before everybody's fed up with him. And he's having press conferences trying to explain. You see, because these people, when this modern breed of politician, they're really activists at the core. And what are activists? Well, they're the soundboard of complaints. They figure out what people are upset about, and they articulate it, right? They're almost like carnival barkers, right? And that requires no real special skill. It means you have a pretty extensive vocabulary. You're quick with your wit, on your feet. You know the issues. You know how to debate this, that, the other. But what you don't know how to do is build. And what you don't know how to do is govern. And lately in America, since the civil rights era, activism has increasingly become a pathway to politics in certain demographics. And you have people who know how to campaign and get elected, but once they get there, they have no idea what next. And furthermore, they don't even have the relationships where they could sit down with certain people, understanding what those people's needs are without them having to tell you, and just innately knowing what the business sector wants, what this sector wants, what that one. And in your mind, as the mayor, you have to come up with a happy medium there for everybody. Everybody won't get what they want, but they have to get something. And when you're the people's champ, like Mamdani's presenting himself, all he wants to do is deliver for his voters, and it won't be coming from his pockets. You know, in the 1970s, New York had a thriving garment industry, but it lost like 600,000 jobs. And that contributed greatly to the decline in New York, where the city almost went bankrupt. And Gerald Ford told New York to drop dead. When industry leaves and the jobs leave with it, how are you going to provide all of these services? Free daycare, free bus routes, no jail. When he talks, he sounds crazy to me. And I think the people who are believing in what he's saying, they just so desperate that those lies are like sweet nothings in their air. Chad Jackson, a former tradesman, is making this 3-part doc, totally blowing. Oh yeah, I saw that. I mean, King was owned. He was owned. You think you just wake up and because you're speaking for the people and addressing their needs, that all of a sudden the president starts having meetings with you? No. Somebody was behind him. And I've mentioned it before about Stanley Levison, that he was credited with co-writing the I Have a Dream speech. I want to believe he wrote the whole damn thing. Not that King couldn't write it, but his words and his whole direction, it was orchestrated for him. You know? These are the truths. Maybe my sarcasm overshadowed my earlier comment, but the president really wants $230 million from the Justice Department for investigating him. I see he's suing people, yeah. He wants money, bro. It's obvious. That's why I said it's scary almost that it makes me feel like there's a going out of business sale in America. Controversy? No, it's adversity introduces a man to himself. I believe that quote comes from Albert Einstein. Adversity introduces a man to himself. Yeah. You don't really know who you are until you've been challenged. You could believe you're somebody. Like you could believe you're a great fighter, like cause you practice in the gym and you hit the heavy bag in the mitts. But until somebody go to your jaw and you react appropriately, I mean, you know, the jury's out. You got to get tested in life, man. The local politics going in my area. Local politicians everywhere are all vying for national spotlight. And that's the problem. And the voters locally, they're accepting that. I can tell you that John Conyers was in Congress for 53 years. And for like maybe the last 5, he was senile. And nobody who voted for him could tell you what he did for them. Nobody. Yeah, I see the No Kings Pro. I live in a liberal area, Kev. Very liberal. I see the white liberals all the time outside on Wisconsin, Connecticut with their signs, you know, like I see them. It's funny because it's the same players from Black Lives Matter, by the way. It's like these people belong to the same organizations, and whatever the new protest is, they roll out the same people with just new signs, you know. Immigration, no kings, Black Lives Matter, LGBT trans rights, same crowd, man. Different signs. Every now and then you'll go by one of their churches and you'll see something about, you know, support to immigrants. Oh, Ukraine, that's another one. All of those issues, Ukraine, LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, and immigration, it's the same source funding all the support for that. Think about that. How could the same source be that invested in a diverse group of issues like that? And it only spells one thing: the intelligence community. All that money from Black Lives Matter that they got, man, they'll talk about what them girls did. Yeah, they stole some money. Yeah, they bought houses for $3 million and it was nothing. It was under $10 million. Black Lives Matter raised hundreds of millions. Where did the rest of it go? Those same people you see out there with the signs, they're getting paid. It's redirected. Oh, man. Correct. Mamdani in New York City will be Brandon Johnson in Chicago on steroids. News, that's a good point. It looks as if the Dems are purposely self-destructing. See, that's the part people are skimming over. This is appearing like a battle between the two. But what if it's all just theater? This is why we have to stop feeding into this nonsense and start, devising a plan on how we could survive whatever is coming our way. And this is why it's important for us to meet like this and build, because we got families and children and all of that. And these people, man, they got these theatrics going on. Watch what I tell you, man. If November 1st comes and the government hasn't shut down, I'm going to take that as confirmation that the Democrats are down with cutting SNAP as well. I think they want to cut SNAP because we're running out of money, man. I think it's really getting that drastic. And Trump is talking about all these deals and all this money because it gives the impression that things are turning around and everything's booming, even though every time I go to the grocery store, I spend way more money than I used to. King was Boule, absolutely. I don't even know if he had good intentions. I think he didn't see the full picture. I want to believe, and I have no way of knowing this, but I want to believe that he was advancing his own career, and he thought he was doing some things that would be beneficial to some people. He didn't really realize or understand that on that level, they're not coming to help anyone but themselves. And that might be why he had that I'm afraid I integrated my people into a burning building speech. I mean, all you have to look at is people like Stanley Levison and Bayard Rustin. Bayard Rustin organized the March on Washington in '63, and he was a CIA asset. King, if he was not directly working with the CIA, if he didn't know what was going on, he had to be green as a pool table and twice as square. I mean, I say the same thing about Malcolm. How could Malcolm be in the Nation of Islam for as long as he was and didn't realize what was going on? Because Malcolm was street savvy and everything. So I think these guys, man, we try to give them a pass, but they weren't stupid. They figured things out. I'm glad you finally checked out the brother from Queens, Philip Anthony Mitchell. Would you ever reach out to him? What did I think about was it 2819 church? Listen, I looked at it, William, and I got to be honest. I was like, where's the angle? I haven't found it yet. I'm looking for it though. I saw that he had a white couple from Canada come down, and he called them up from the back of his church, and he gave them $50,000, and because they sold everything and moved to Atlanta to join his church. At least that was the story. I was like, were they planted? I don't know. I'm a skeptic, right? I'm not making any accusations. Another time I seen him give a single mother, a black woman, he had everybody in the church come down, empty their pockets, and give her the money. So I'm going to keep watching because I'm waiting to try to figure out where's the money coming from. Because I haven't seen him ask for a dime, which is a good sign. But he's 50,000 is not chump change. If you're giving away 50,000, there has to be a source of this revenue somewhere, you know. And that's what I'm looking for. But to answer your question, I just started reviewing them over the weekend. And no, I haven't seen any red flags yet. I'm just a skeptic, so I'm going to keep looking. And I hope I don't find anything. The whole Black Lives Matter situation needs to be unpacked. Oh, absolutely. BLM undermined grassroots organizations. I knew BLM was a psyop because they organized too quickly all over the country. And I hate to say it, I don't want to single anybody out, but they, you know, when you really look at who the go-to people are now in the black community, it used to be Boule like King and Ralph Abernathy and Jesse Jackson and them. But now it's entertainers, and for some reason, they lean heavily on black LGBTQ. And 2 of the 3 women who started Black Lives Matter were lesbians. The third one was probably bisexual, you know. And you just look at Billy Porter, and you look at all of these people that DeRay McKesson, for some reason, those seem to be the preferred people when it comes to misleading the black community. Even going back to Dr. King and Bayard Rustin, I mean, Bayard Rustin was arrested in Pasadena having sex with 2 or 3 white men in a car in a parking lot. They've been using these people. I don't know if they're compromised or if they feel alienated from the black community, and psychologically they're you know, easily exploited and can be turned against us, used against the rest of us. I don't know what it is. It's worth looking into though, but there's a clear pattern of that going on. They got Bayard Rustin all over the civil rights era part of the AA museum. Of course they do. Who you think funded the museum? There's that statue of Dr. King at the King Monument, and people don't even know the statue was made in China. They're talking about China. That element of the U.S. government has always been propping China up. All these George Floyd statues, all of these things, not one black sculptor was used. Black trauma is a financial boon for everyone else. How much of my staff would have known me less than 10 years? Probably most of them, Peter. Because the people who have known me for longer, they would be my street team, like the record business. They would be the ones that I express what I need to, and they would get it. King met Pope Paul VI in Rome. Yep. Oh man, Ro, you got to check out all the documentaries from News is Dead on ScoonTV. Download the app. Those documentaries are fire. Man, we cooking some stuff up over there. I had somebody who spoke at Open Society in 1997, and he watched the George Soros documentary that we just released, and he says that it is primo content. Yeah, for sure. What's up, YouTube family? Download that app. The Soros Project is right on the ScoonTV app. If you download the ScoonTV app and you go to features, nothing but top of the line mini docs, 20 minutes and less. But it's information packed. I tried watching the Bayard Rustin movie. Come on, man. Of course, if Obama was the was part of it, you already know what it is. Him and Bayard Rustin got a lot in common. Correct, George. Black men in the Democratic Party seem weak, and the Republican Party too. It's not just the Democrat Party. It's in both parties. Tim Scott is not the picture of strength. Far from it. He might as well be Cory Booker. He went out and bought him a wife. You know, look at the gender wars. Black women don't seem to see how bad it's affected. Well, they're not. Darnita, and I'm generalizing here, right? I think that when you have people, male or female, and they're in need, and they've never ever thought they were going to get an opportunity to get to a place that, you know, they always thought was beyond their reach. And then somebody puts them in play. It could be something simple. But they're going to cherish that, man. They're going to cherish that. And they're going to put themselves first. Self-preservation is like the first law of nature. So I get it. It's kind of hard for people to not just be self-centered when they've always been in survival mode. And I think that's what those that are above us, they bank on. What are your thoughts on Scott Bessent being a product of the George Soros spider web? Man, listen, that's Trump's guy. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but Trump has been a liberal his whole life. His whole life. I think he took on a persona to get elected, to sell something, but at the end of the day, they're all going to give us the same outcome. They just have different ways in giving it to us. I was talking to a Trump hater the other day, and he was talking about how dumb Trump is because we owe so much money to China and they don't need us. Trump is doing what he is told to do. I believe Trump is doing what he's told, what he is told to do, what he has been elected to do. It's very telling the people that he had around him at his inauguration. And I think this plan that seems to be following biblical prophecy is to create so much terror that people will be ready to accept anything. And I do believe that the ultimate goal is a one world government. Yeah, I do. But before that happens, it's going to have to be such a catastrophe that whoever's left is going to be no more. Let's do away with it, and I think that's the plan. Will it work? Who knows? Trump is completely compromised. It looks that way, Bobby J. It looks that way. It really does. BLM undermined the grassroots organization in St. Louis, yes. To the point that there were some individuals in the grassroots organizations mysteriously got murdered. Yeah, Darren Seals. I dedicated my film, Black, White, and Blue, to Darren Seals. As a matter of fact, if anybody watching hasn't seen Black, White, and Blue, it's on YouTube for free right now. And it's doing pretty well because I put it with one of these film placement companies, and it's on YouTube for sure. I dedicated that film to Darren Seals. They found him in the truck, dead, and the truck was on fire. And Darren Seals, for those who don't know, his cardinal sin was not being an activist. When D-Ray McKesson and Black Lives Matter showed up and tried to hijack the Ferguson movement, Darren slapped D-Ray. And it is largely believed that he is dead as a result of that slap. Someone want Thomas Massey to run for president. I think the next president is going to be a Republican. I don't know who. I don't know who. More than likely, J.D. Vance, but we'll see. The League of Nations. Well, William, the one world government, I agree to some extent that we already have a one world government. But I think all the pretense is going to be gone. It's going to be blatant. I think it has to be blatant and in your face because people are going to have to make tough choices. Right now, people are being deceived. You have to understand that in order for the United States to undermine itself and export its manufacturing to China, it means that came from someplace above the president. For Woodrow Wilson to sign the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, that came from someplace else. There's a hidden hand somewhere that they all must acquiesce to at some point. So you can topple a whole economy by being strategic. Well, the thing with the Soros thing and the Bank of England, Soros was in cahoots with the Rothschilds. He was merely the face of what happened. That's what they do. They call the shots. They funded both sides of the French, the Napoleonic Wars. They got the Foreign Secretary, Lord Balfour, to sign the Balfour Declaration, which established the premise for the State of Israel in 1948. They've been behind the scenes just moving pieces. I don't for a minute believe that Soros by himself did that. No one man can do something like that unless he did what he was instructed to do and allowed to do. You cannot undermine a nation's wealth and live to talk about it unless that was part of the plan. So he took the credit for it, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, he slapped D-Ray Costello. They want J.D. Vance, but his whole story is manufactured. By the way, on ScoonTV, in the featured section, there's a J.D. Vance documentary. Check it out. If you support ScoonTV, go there and go down the line and watch all of those documentaries. Digital ID, everything. Myself and News is Dead. We collaborate on the topics and the talking points and narratives. And I think it's stuff that's beneficial. Hey, Drew, what's happening, brother? Social media has the masses completely mentally at the brink for catastrophe. Oh yeah, they're gonna fold. They're gonna fold so quickly. They don't believe in themselves. Shit, if something happened, they'll try to get to Chat GPT to figure out how to get out of it. And if the internet go down, oh my Lord, they might jump out the window. Yep. No one has read the user agreements for any of these platforms, and everything they already own that people, this is theirs. He's a Peter Thiel, Silicon Valley puppet conservative. We must be talking about J.D. Vance. Yeah, look. What jobs should we look for within the next 20 years? Akil, I don't know about jobs. But I think being self-sustainable, owning land, owning hard assets, something that you could leverage and not be totally reliant on the state, The jobs, someone told me, right, because I'm not in the stock market, but someone told me that the whole stock market is held up by 7 to 10 companies. Nvidia, Amazon, a couple others, I think Microsoft, Dell, whatever. It is scary. So what are all the other companies doing? If those companies was to tank, it means the market would tank. 7 to 10. See, and that lack of diversity is across the board. So for me, like I interviewed a brother yesterday, Kenneth Sass. He's a follower, a subscriber to ScoonTV. He wrote a book, and we was talking about Bitcoin. Now, I have gold and silver, and I'm thinking about getting some Bitcoin now. Well, not a whole Bitcoin because it's $109,000, but a piece of a Bitcoin or something. And my point is, we don't know what the post-now era is going to look like, post-2030. But I believe if we have more than debt, if we have hard assets, it will put us in a better position to navigate whatever comes next. Oh, thank you, Donita. I think Fuentes is about to do an interview with Tucker. I told y'all weeks ago, out of all of them, Fuentes is the one that I'm watching because he's young and he's sharp as a whip, man. What that means is he got a longer career. where he is right now, and he's in his 20s, oh man, the upside is crazy. Half the internet on one cloud service. They see there's a lack of diversity in everything. Eight Amazon Web Services went down, and so many people were messed up. 10 good hard assets. Well, land, gold, silver, any kind of precious metal. If, like, and this is on a different level, but water rights are going to be very important. I kind of like the Midwest right now because of the Great Lakes. I think in the future, water is going to be a precious commodity. And you have the freshwater lakes up there, the Great Lakes. Yeah. But anything that people need and can't do without might be worth having or investing in. Yeah, for sure. Hard assets. Yeah, I like precious metals. I'm old school though. In 1933 there was a Gold Confiscation Act. So I saw where silver, the demand is outpacing the supply. At any moment, the government could make it illegal for the citizens to hold gold and silver because they've done it before. And I bring that up not so much to answer your question, but it's all a crapshoot, Akil. I hate to say it, man. You never know what they're going to do. It's like when I was talking to Kenneth Sass about the Bitcoin. Some countries try to make Bitcoin illegal. At the end of the day, it comes down to what the governments allow. And what people, what's a commodity? Bullets. Let's not forget bullets. Microsoft has 2 data centers coming to Wisconsin, and people are not happy about it. Why is that, Mumi? A down day for NVIDIA is usually a red S&P day. Yeah, man, I had no idea because I don't pay attention to the stock market. They said 7 to 10 companies are carrying the whole stock market. And then you got people talking about the bond market. Jamie Dimon is talking about the bond market is done. Something major is going to happen. And if this government shutdown gets to November 1st, for them to cut off Snap, man, it's going to get real spooky out here. But anyway, listen, I think that's it. It's 9:33. Thank you for coming. ScoonTV. Visit the website, ScoonTV.com. Download the ScoonTV app. Become a member. Check out my vlogs. And everything's there. The recorded live streams. You can go in the archives and check out the old ones. You can check out the interviews. You can check it all out. Let me see what we got here. Oh, man, thank you, Donita. Use of the water and high electric bills. They don't want the Lake Michigan tampered with. Yeah, I don't blame them. All right. Thank you, George. I'll talk to you guys next week, God willing. Let's chop it up again. YouTube, Rumble, Twitch. Download the ScoonTV app. Let's get it.